Now, if I'm honest with you, after the beauty and depth of our Easter weekend, last weekend, walking through all the story of God this year, seeing all the baptisms and celebrating together last weekend, I was so tempted to change gears. I was tempted to pick a few favorite topics of mine, preach on them, celebrate a little longer, and just kind of ease our way into the summer. I was very tempted to do that. I was really tempted to keep it safe. And honestly, that would have been so simple. But reality is we don't live in simple times. We live in a world marked by crisis and division. And if we are willing to look honestly, even within the global church, or maybe I should say the national church, or maybe even the local church, we see fractures, frustrations, finger pointing. And when the world and the church faces confusion and conflict like this, we can't just look away and take the easy road. Which brings us to Galatians. Galatians, friends, is not an easy letter. And we will see as we read through it through the last Sunday of April here and through May. It's not an easy one, but it is an important letter. So in Galatians chapter 1, verse 6, we read, Paul says, I'm astonished that you are so quickly deserting the one who called you to live in the grace of Christ and are turning to a different gospel, which is really no gospel at all. Evidently, some people are throwing you into confusion and you are trying to pervert the gospel. I am astonished that you are so quickly deserting the one who called you to live in the grace of Christ. The first followers of Jesus were namely Jewish believers. Their story, their long and rich story and history, is one of God's covenant people, God's covenant with Israel. They are shaped by this story. They are shaped by God's law and teaching and God leading them. They know that in their history they have followed God in good ways, but they also know that in times in history they pulled away from God, that they were not following Him. Their story and their covenant, their promises with God shapes them who they are. They're a people raised in the law of Moses. So for these people, this story of God with all its laws is not just a thing that they do, it's actually part of their identity, part of their very life with God. So when they embraced these early followers of Jesus, when they embraced Jesus as their Messiah, it wasn't easy for them to imagine simply setting all the law aside. And for some Jewish Christians, that felt threatening. Because on one side, it's great that the church is growing. It's great that they're following Jesus. It's great that they're calling Him the Messiah. But on the other side, how can they just so easily get in? Like, they're just in? Don't they have to pay some dues? Don't they have to show that they're really serious about this? How can it be that easy? How can it be so free? And so their solution, these early believers in Jesus, not all of them, but this group of Jewish believers, their solution, they began insisting that the Gentile believers couldn't just follow Jesus by saying, I have faith, I believe, I want to be part of this. They had to become Jewish too. You know, this is their story. So yeah, okay, you want to be with us? Great, but now start at the beginning. Be Jewish with us, and then also be a follower of Jesus. And primarily, they wanted to show this allegiance by and through circumcision, which isn't a small step for a grown adult. You see, if you don't understand what the cross is and why the resurrection is so crucial, if you don't understand what the sacrifice is about and you're being asked to add sacrifices into your life, you now begin to be unsure what grace is really all about. Maybe making us wonder, where do we actually stand with God? Like, He did this cool thing, I want to follow this, the amazing way we're caring for one another, we're making sure nobody's poor, we're really seeing the widow and the orphan around us, love all of it, love it. But is God and I okay? Should I become circumcised? Should I eat kosher? Should I still bring sacrifices in the temple? It makes us wonder where we stand with God. It changes who God is and what He has done. It makes us wonder, does God love us? Is he distant? Is he angry with us? What should we do to make it right? What does he require of us? You see, this kind of addition shrinks the gospel, takes it and plunders it all of its power and hope. Because nothing matters more for how we live than what we believe about God. A distorted view of God distorts everything. And so for Paul, there was one word that captures the full, beautiful truth about God, and that's the gospel. The gospel. The good news. Evangelion. Paul uses this word, it matters so much for him, he uses this word 60 times in his letters. 60 times, 6-0. To put that in perspective, the Gospel of Mark uses it 7 times, Matthew 4, Luke 2, and the Gospel of John once. The gospel was Paul's heartbeat, and he would defend it with everything he had. And so here's a bit of an irony here. The Spirit of God descends, the church is born, the invitation to become one people is a gift. It's all a gift. They've done nothing to deserve it. One movement led by the Spirit, through the Spirit, with the Spirit. A people freed to live in an entirely new way because of what Jesus has done, not because of what they have done. There's this new vision for this body of Christ, this group of people that's now multi-ethnic community, a new humanity shaped and empowered by the Spirit of God, not by works. It's all a gift. And when they aligned with that way of Jesus, when they stepped into it, when they allowed the Spirit to work in them and through them, when they listened and paid attention to the prompts of the Spirit of God in their hearts, they began to love their neighbors. The Roman Empire collapsed because people went and fed the prisoner. And they were confused by the Romans. Like, there's all this historical writing. They're like, why are this cult is like feeding the people in prison? But these prisoners are like actual like bad people. Why are they doing that? They began to pick up children that were abandoned because they were born as a girl and care for them. They began to care for the widows. They didn't do that work because that was saving them. They were empowered by the free gift that they received to now live that freely and give that gift to others. And the church grew. And so when these Jewish Christians now said, no, wait a minute, this is like too free. It's good that it's happening. It's good that it's transforming things. But like, rein it in. You got to do some things to really show us you're Christian. Paul is outraged. And he says, that's not the gospel. That's not what the gospel is about. The gospel is good news for everyone. And if it's not good news for someone, then it's not good news. To add to it is to subtract from it, to shrink it, to reduce it, to have no gospel at all. It's a gift. It's a gift. But let's be honest. Gifts are actually sometimes hard to accept, aren't they? Right? Like if we think on the bigger level of things, like if somebody gives you something small, that's great. But on the bigger side of life, our life is full of paradoxes. To receive something free is hard, and we don't naturally expect to receive something free from all over the place. We wait and wonder, like, what's the catch? Like, what's happening here? And so we think, no, I have to do something. I have to pay. It can't be this easy. It feels too risky. It feels too good to be true. And along comes the Apostle Paul and screams, I'm astonished that you're so quickly deserting the one who called you to live in the grace of Christ. Paul is saying, if you try to pay for it, you'll ruin it. If you try to pay for it, you'll ruin it. Are you worthy? Jesus says you are. And he says it by going on the cross.